as usual. Okay, awesome. So there's two main things that I wanted to share updates on today. And then as usual, I'm gonna open up to questions and answers. So if you have questions at any point, feel free to drop them in the chat, or just once the demo is over, feel free to ask them. But the first thing that I wanted to share is variable color buttons. So this is a thing that I often see. It's a really good way to build more powerful interfaces, because you can kind of give feedback on the users on whether they can continue, save something, or what have you. So just actually, I'll show you the demo here. Basically, as I click through, you can see that not only the variable color changes here, but also the buttons themselves. So if you have, for example, a form where somebody's inputting information, you only want the button to go green for it to let the user save once all the information is correct. You can do that by assigning a variable color. So to do that, it's very simple. I'll show you here. Open up the app. So essentially, these three buttons, they're all pretty much identical, except for different colors. So they just have one action, which we say, okay, data manipulation, store the color red in the location. It is called button color, and this is a color variable. And then if you notice here, the button color itself, typically is just a static color, whereas I switched it over to variables and I selected this variable button color that we just assigned. So yeah, quite simple, but as you click through it, you can see it just updates the button colors and the variable itself. And like I said, I think it's good to give feedback to the user on whether they can submit a form, whether they can continue on to the next step, or what have you. But it's just something to bear in mind. Are there any questions about this? Are folks already using something similar to in your apps? Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we use it a lot of places, and we've got plans on that like a safety cross application. We do the whole like SCUDA, safety, quality, delivery, inventory, productivity thing. So we're looking at maybe using that application, but kind of automating it so we can like run reports.
Oh, nice.
Have instead of them like manually having to input whether they were green or red that day.
Oh yeah, and are you using this one here, the library?
Yeah, that's kind of like our next big project. And we're taking that, making a Q out of it, a D out of it, so on and so forth, and have it to where we run triggers that we'll go and see, like, was day 1 of January, was it a win or a loss, and
Yeah.
do it automatically within triggers. So.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, it's a simple thing, colors, but actually it does make a pretty big difference in kind of like just how easy something it is to use, and especially, yeah, like you're saying, for a safety cross or something like that, where it's good to have the visual feedback. It's good to use it. But yeah, cool. So that was the first thing I wanted to share, and the other one is a library app that it's actually been out for a couple of releases, and basically it's a photo gallery app, and it seems quite strange as a standalone app, I think, but it can be used. You can kind of copy the elements that you need into your existing apps, and it's a pretty neat way to kind of store photos, just like you have on your phone or whatever. But you can come in here, you can create albums. You can say, okay, just create a new album, and then once you have it, and these, you could have, for example, like just if you want to have like a library of like a slideshow of all the team members in your facility, or if you need to have all the tools you have, or whatever it is, like just any old slideshow of photos, you can have it here. And then you can, of course, take a photo, upload it, or capture a photograph. Let me just capture this. Okay, submit. And then once I save the photo, it adds it to the album here. You can give it a description as well if you want. And that's stored. Let me just take another one. Okay, submit, save photo, the description is saved along. And then once you start populating the album, you can then view it as a slideshow. So this gives you a pretty good kind of just, like you're browsing through on your phone or something, all the photos with their description down here, or you can kind of like see it as a gallery. So a slightly different format with 4 of these windows per page. But I think it's, again, as a standalone, it's kind of, it's a little bit odd, I would say, but it's, you can definitely just take the elements from the app and copy over what you need for your own thing. So if you come in here, you can copy copy some aspects of this library app and then just put them into an existing library that you have, an existing app that you have running. Yeah, awesome. So those were the main updates that we wanted to share today. Are there any questions on what was shared or anything else that folks have been building that we can help out with? Okay, if there are no questions, is there anything useful? Any demos that we could build together now that folks would be interested in seeing, or new features that were released, or anything else?
I have a question. I think I don't know if that's a general question or it's just a something I have it recently. So we have an app using on the production floor, and we probably having gonna be around 30 or 40 tablets running the same app, and basically we adding new features to it every week or twice a week, and it is pretty annoying to restart it every single time when we publish the new version. So is there an easier way to add some kind of button in the app just to automatically update or restart the app when operator log off or something?
Yeah, so if you have it in your shop floor over here in stations, if you have it to run the most recently published version, every time
Yes.
every time there's completion, it's gonna get the latest version. So if you just at the end of your workflow, if you put a completion, then it's gonna automatically get the latest version of the app that was published.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, but because we're doing the same thing right now, but sometimes it's just a non-update to the version. I don't know if it's operator making some mistakes or.
Yeah. The other thing that I've seen done is actually sometimes people put it on a timer so that the operator actually doesn't have to click anything, but every 10 minutes you can just have app complete the app, and then that's it. And then every 10 minutes it's basically gonna complete the app, store all the information, and check if there are new versions. And this way it's not like it's not like the user needs to click anything or check anything. It just updates it automatically.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, for the dashboard wise, is there a way we can make it easier to pull the data for a specific day? Because for the team lead to using it to check like the data in the past, we don't want to give them the full access to go to like edit the table or anything. Is there a way that we can just have in the
Yeah. So the dashboard here, I mean, would you like to, like, does a supervisor need to have access to, like, be able to choose a specific date or something like that?
Yes, so for example, we have the defect from today, which is part ABC, and then yesterday gonna be ABC was different quantity, and then the team leaders go on a vacation for 3 days, and then the team leader come back and then say, want to know what happened the days they were gone.
Oh, okay, got it. So for something like that, what I've seen work very well is you can have, and it's not, I mean, it's essentially it's a, so you use the app, an app as a dashboard. So essentially you can come in here, embed an analysis, and it can be an app analysis table or machine. So for example, let me see if I do work orders. Okay, like let's see, it could be defects, but you know, you can just select one. And then what you can do is you can make this a little bit bigger, and then we can have an input, a date picker. So like whenever the supervisor comes back from their vacation, they can say, okay, date from something like this. And then in here, you can add a filter to this analysis, and you can say, okay, due date is greater than, and then we can say variable date from, something like this. So then when we go in here to run it, yep, you see it only shows the dates that we're interested in. So if I go all the way back to here, we'll see a bunch of dates, and they can easily filter using something like this. Does this make sense? Are you looking for something like this?
It's similar, but like we're gonna have multiple record on the same day, and we just don't want to do one day instead of days since 3 days ago. We just want to do a specific day.
You
And
mean it's just, but this is like doing this way, you would be choosing a specific day.
because what we've seen is when we do this, it giving us the entire time since that day was chosen. The
Oh
entire,
yeah,
but
yeah,
we
that's
just
correct.
want a specific day.
Oh, okay.
And is we also have like the 3 shift, and then the 3rd shift usually like a work from
Oh,
over midnight, and then that's case like we don't know how to do it.
okay. So you're saying if you want, if they select the 8th, it only shows the 8th.
Yes, only show the 8th.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. So a good way to solve that, you could have something like this. You would have to have a button here, and you can basically say, okay, when the button is pressed, then data manipulation store, and we'll basically say at app info. Oh no, not app info. At variable date from, and then we'll basically to this we'll add what's, let me just calculate how many seconds are in a day. It's 24 times 60 times 60, so 86,000. So basically what we're doing here is we're saying, okay, whatever date they selected, add a 24 hours to it, and then we can just store this in the variable. We'll say date 2. Okay, we can have this, and then we can display the 2 variables just to make sure that they're correct. So we have basically this one here, and let's put in another one, date 2 and from. So now if I come here, I say, okay, let's do the 8. Now you see it goes from the 8 to the 9. There's something going on with the time zones, but yeah, basically, and then you can just add this filter as well to this analysis. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay. And will this work for what you're trying to build?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, it's I mean, you need to go in and kind of, yeah, now I can't find any that are the date that I'm putting in, but yeah, this will work. And you basically just have this button again to calculate the date 2 this way here.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay. Thank you. I think that's all my questions.
Okay, awesome. Ooh, oh yeah, thanks, Martina. Okay, great. Are there any other questions that folks have that we can help out with? Okay, awesome. In that case, thanks everybody for joining. If there's anything else that comes up in the meantime, please don't hesitate to reach out. Yeah, thanks everybody for joining.
Hi, I'm sorry, I do have a question.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Yes.
Hi, Elise.
Hi, so I've been working with Het, another Tulip support personnel.
Yeah.
And so I am currently trying to create a program in which it kind of looks like a checkout log. But where I'm stuck is I am trying to create a drop-down list that goes from like a larger category, like say wheel types, because I'm working in a manufacturing facility in like a tool room.
Okay.
And so the app is the idea that it, tracks inventory, but the people on the floor are able to order on Tulip and search for the items they need. And then that will be, sent to the tool room. But like I said, the part I'm stuck on is I really want to get from a larger category to a subcategory and then a drop-down list of the sizes associated with that subcategory. And so Het and I were talking about a single drop-down list that worked with, categories. I believe I have like 11 of them right now, but it could be additions could be made. And then it goes to each of those 12 categories have pretty much the same amount of subcategories. And then within those subcategories, they have all different sizes.
Okay. I think I understand. Let me see here, because I think that there will be something that could help you. Could help in this case. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's a good question, right? I'm assuming it's stored in a table, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And right now I'm kind of just working with dummy data, but
yeah. So say we have something like this. For now, I'll just put yeah, category 1, 2, and let's put okay. I'll create a couple of records. Let's say wheels, front, right, or something like this. Basically, what I want to show you is something that's pretty neat on interactive tables, in which if we come here and we have the categories like this, and we add a couple of the columns, ID, category 1, category 2, and category 3. Whoop. Just reload it real quick. Okay, so what we can do is basically have an input, and it doesn't need to be necessarily an input like a free text input, but filter for category 1. If I do something like this, then we can add a filter on this table to say, okay, if the category 1 equals the variable filter for category 1. And essentially what this will do is once the user comes in here and say, okay, oh, not equals, sorry, it needs to be contains. Yeah, you see, so now it starts filtering out. Now if I have here, for example, I have another record in here, and we say, I don't know, springs, front, left, something like this. You see here, you're able to filter it out using this simple mechanism. And you see,
Okay.
yeah, you can basically go and sort it by category this way.
Mhm.
Yep.
I think an issue I might have is because the users, it's the people that are working on the floor in the manufacturing facility. And so, obviously, well, one, the language barrier, but I don't think we're going to really move past that. But
Yeah.
also, just their familiarity with the tools they use, because right now it's pretty much all visual. And, the people that have been attending to the tool room have been there for 20 plus years. And
Oh,
so they all know exactly, oh, like I know what this is and that's where it is. And then they kind of, it's all pen and paper. And so I think with, the select option, if you type something in, then maybe I think that'll be too much of a cultural shift for these individuals. And so I know Het and I were working on a single select
yeah,
option with the drop down categories that they could pick from. And then that was connected to, say, an interactive table.
yeah. So you can have it like this, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. It's where, yeah, and you can have it also, if it's even simpler, you can have it displayed as a menu. So, they can basically just come in here. And you can separate it out into different steps, if that helps. But as they select the different ones, it just shows them the filtered categories.
Oh, okay, perfect. And so with, the list on the right, is there any way, you could hit wheels and then it drops to another like single select table that would list like the wheel types, like black stitch wheel, yellow stitch wheel, like all, which there's probably like 12 types of that.
Yeah.
It's like a
So
subcategory of each category.
yeah. So something like this, like now there's like a cat. Oh, because there was, sorry. Yeah. So there are various ways of doing that. Maybe let me see. And it depends on how you want to display it. Like maybe good to have it on different steps, just to simplify it. Um, yeah, that's another good question, Ryan. So did you see that the question there, Elise?
Yes, yes. And so, yeah, we are working towards that. Originally, it's on like an Excel sheet, and I was kind of playing around with the Tulip tables. But, I just learned Tulip probably last month. So, kind of integrating all of this together is exceeding my knowledge
Yeah.
as of right now.
No, so what we could have is something like this. Basically, okay, so now we have this is the first category and this is the second category filter. And here on the interactive table, you can add as many filters, and you can see it needs to match all of these conditions. And then we can say, okay, category 2 needs to contain variable filter category 2. So now they can say, okay, wheels, I only want to see, let me just create a rear wheel. So I didn't do that. See wheels, rear, right. You see, and now you're able to go one level deeper, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah,
So then you made like wheels and springs, those category 1, and then the front and rear category 2. And
exactly.
then say, there's multiple sizes and I can just make that a category 3.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and you can have as many as you'd like here. It's not, just important that each of these filters that you want to apply has its own column in the table.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. That actually seems a lot more simple than
Yeah.
I initially thought.
Yeah, no, it's good. This the filtering this way is great. You can do a lot of really cool stuff with it.
Totally.
Yeah,
And with just the tables that you have, what you got that in inputs, I'm assuming, and then interactive table,
this one here.
or both of them, the single select and the,
Oh yeah. So the single select, yep, you're correct, is inputs. So I can do it again actually here. Whoop, let me just delete this one. So yeah, if you come in here, inputs, and then it's single select. And then you can have it displayed either like this, which is a drop down, or you can have it as a menu if that's simpler. So you'll see all the options. Then you need to create a variable for it, and I called it filter category 1. And then you can add options down here. So that's where we did wheels and springs. And then you see we can select here. If you want it as a drop down, it's like this, very similar, but just depends what interface you prefer.
For sure.
Yeah, and then the interactive table, that's actually not in the inputs, this is in the embed. So if you go to embed, and the fourth from the bottom is interactive table.
Perfect.
And then, yeah, you select the data source, Tulip table, you select the table that you want. I've done this one categories, you can select tool room or whatever it's called in your instance. And then you select a couple of the columns you're interested in displaying.
Amazing.
Yeah, and then here's where you can put the filters. Yeah, and then the other neat thing about interactive tables is that you can basically say, okay, every time a row is selected, you can trigger specific actions. You can say like, for example, now I'll just show message, new selection, but you can have it send an email, you can have it, do all the usual actions. Just restart it real quick.
Yeah. And so what ideally I'd like to do is, they select, what they want, say category 3, they're like, okay, yeah, this all makes sense. I want a black stitch wheel size 6 inches. And they click maybe something and it triggers that to be stored.
Oh, yeah.
And then they could maybe go back to like store that and then go back to search to add more items to their cart in a way. And then by the end, it's almost like an order confirmation
Oh,
type thing.
yeah, that's cool. The what you could do. So, for example, are you familiar with record placeholders already?
I'm sorry.
Are you familiar with record placeholders?
Yes, isn't that just to almost save the table in?
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So it's basically the way you need to imagine it, or at least I imagine it, is a link, a one-to-one link between the app and the table itself.
Okay.
So if we create one to the categories, I'll add a record placeholder. I'll say current category. Awesome. We'll link it to this interactive table. So we'll come in here and say, okay, link to this current category. And then what we can do is, okay, when a row is selection, then we'll basically say, okay, for example, arrays, push onto array, and the data will be the table record, current category, just the ID for now, into a new variable, and we'll call it like our cart, for example. And then here we can just display our cart, and we'll say, okay, it will just be like this. So now, as the user goes in and selects, you see it's adding it all to their cart, and they can select them.
So cool.
Yeah, is this what you had in mind?
That is better than what I envisioned. So
Okay.
that's amazing.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And this is just like a very rudimentary way. Like you can do like a lot of cool stuff, but this is like something to, I think, get you started, hopefully.
Most definitely. And with that, I know this is probably maybe a few steps further, but is there any way they could delete, say, they accidentally tapped on an item, they're like, heck, wrong one, don't need it?
Yeah, so that's you can definitely do that. It's not quite as, you can't like tap onto it because this is like just a variable that's being displayed. What you
Mhm.
can do is you need to create an index, which there are ways to make it a little bit let's say a bit more user friendly, but well, actually there's two ways of doing it. The first one that's a bit simpler, we can have it like this. Let's put a red just so that the person knows. We can say delete, and then we can say data whoops, arrays. Which one is it? Pop from array. I think it's this one. cart. No, it's not pop. It's remove at index. That's the one. So we'll need to do two things. Well, first we'll say, arrays, get length of array. So we'll see how long is the array, and we'll store it in a variable called array length. And then here we'll just delete it, the very last one, essentially. So I think this should work. Let me just double check. No, it doesn't, because I need to subtract one. And this is all recorded, by the way, if you want to go back and take a look at these triggers, if there's something is
Most definitely, that's going to be probably my last question on where I can find this.
yeah. So this, you see how this is deleting basically the last one, so they can add
Yes.
them up, and then if they say, oh no, actually I shouldn't have added that C, they can just delete it and removes it.
For sure. And I think, like I said before, like now everything is so visual. So as we implement this, or just in general, I think they wanted to embed images as well. And so maybe if you hit, say, the last category, like the 6-inch, an image pops up of the 6-inch black stitch wheel.
Oh yeah,
And then from there, they're like, okay, that's what I want. And that can be added.
yeah, for sure. So the way to do that, you would come in here, you would have a field type image, and you could call it, okay, image of the part. You can just come in here, upload them from your computer or wherever. You can have, basically each record needs to have an image. And then at that point, you can basically say, okay, if you display a table record, and let me just display the record will be the image itself. So let me just take an image, for example, of just this, so we can show it demo. I'll take another one of just this, for example, just this. Okay, then if I come in here into categories and I'll upload this image. Okay, perfect, image one, and then I'll upload second image. So now as I select them, you see how this is a bit strange to look at. This is an image that we're looking at over here.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I should have taken better images.
Oh
But,
no,
yeah,
I get the gist.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any way that they could we could make it where if they click the image, then it's added to the list on the left or on the right? Am I
Yeah.
right?
So the way to do that would basically be, what you can do is you can put a button on top of the image, or no, actually, let me check something. Okay, yeah, no, this is how you would do it. You would put a button on top of the image, and then you just make this button here completely transparent. And then you can say, okay, when the button is pressed, then we can do the same thing of arrays, push onto array. We'll put the table record, this one here, ID, onto the card. And so now basically you see as they select it, now it's the B, it's this ID here that's selected, and that's why it's adding it.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah. And whereas if I select A, then it adds A onto it.
And so at that point, it's not adding A from how we did it before we had that button.
Yeah, so actually now it's adding it in both ways, because if you see, if I click here, you see how it adds it?
Yes.
Because this trigger on this one here is the one that is executing it. So if I delete this, basically now it won't add it. Let me just delete it so it goes up to the top. You see, as I add them, as I switch between them, it doesn't add them, and then once I start clicking it, that's when it adds it.
Amazing.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm in awe.
Sorry.
This app is so cool.
Yeah, yeah, no, sorry, it got a little bit hectic, but you know, hopefully this gives you a good idea of what you can do. Sorry, it's not like the clearest demo, but
No, this is exactly what I needed to kind of push forward.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, hopefully it gives you some ideas. And then depending on, you know, I think it's always important to kind of also get feedback from the users, see what they like, what makes sense for them, and then design the interface in a way that makes sense and is easy to use.
Most definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially because I think this will be a big cultural shift.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Where is the facility located, by the way?
In Cumberland, Rhode Island.
Oh, great. Oh, great.
Yes, yes.
Nice.
So yeah, a very large manufacturing facility of jewelry and high
Oh,
luxury items. So
okay.
lots of different tool types that are going to be going into this.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can organize them all well with this.
Yes,
Yeah.
perfect. And okay, I think this might be my next step, and maybe I shouldn't get ahead of myself. So
No problem. What is it? It's
well, the idea is then after we get to this point where, you know, they add to cart, then their cart, you know, is filled. But when they hit like submit, that order will be sent to an individual or pop up on a dashboard to the tool crib attendant, where they can then fill orders like those order requests from people on the floor and just put them outside of the room for pickup. So is there a way that, you know, once they hit submit, after almost like an order confirmation, like, hey, this is what I ordered, and then that be sent to an individual, or maybe could just be inputted into a table, like that information, and then that table being displayed as like analytics on a dashboard?
yeah, for sure. For sure, both of them can be done. So the
Okay.
first one, if we say, okay, send as an email, for example, I'll basically say, okay, uh, send email. I'll just send it to myself for now. So we have it, message, and we'll just send the two text. We need to use this two text because if you remember the variable cart that we made is an array and you can't send arrays. So if you just use this, it converts it over. Thanks, Ishmael. See you next week. So now if we do this, bye-bye, send email, send, and then if I just open it up over here on my phone, just so you can see it, can you see? But I just basically received an email with all the three elements, you know.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, the AAA. Yeah, and if I had a B, of course, I will receive.
That as well.
Yeah, exactly. I will receive that as well.
Okay,
So
amazing.
that's how you can send it as an email. You may have to do some work to format it a little bit, depending on how you want to display it.
Mhm.
So that was the first one. And then if you want to display it on a dashboard, I would actually recommend, rather than pushing it onto an array like we did over here, you can basically have another table where you can have like, you know,
Just
like,
a log
yeah, exactly.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. Okay.
Yeah. Logs. And then once you have your logs in here, you know, when they select the image, instead of just pushing it onto the array, you basically store it in the table of logs using the table records.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then once you have that, you can display it in your dashboard. You can just come in here, add a chart, and you'll have, okay, you'll go down, you'll select your table of logs. Here it is, and then you'll basically, there's no information, so it only lets me do this, but you'll be able to store a different, you know, store it as table log or whatever it is.
Beautiful. Okay,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
This is great. Yeah, looking forward to seeing when it's fully built.
No, most definitely. Yeah, I'm kind of on a time crunch, so hopefully it'll be done by next Friday.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have any questions between now and then, are you in Tulip community?
I believe so.
Okay,
Yes, yes.
you are. Okay, yeah, this is a great place if you have questions like that. You always get, people who, have very similar questions and can kind of provide good feedback on how they solve similar problems.
Perfect. Yeah, definitely going to utilize that then.
Yeah.
Okay, and question, where do we find this recording?
Oh yeah. So here in community, I'll upload it this afternoon. But if you go, so basically you go to community and then you go to office hours. And then you'll see this is the week of 19th of July, because that was this Monday. And so this is the one from yesterday. We have the one in Spanish, and then I'll add it down here basically.
Beautiful. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I can actually send you this link so you have it. See you, Ryan. Have a good afternoon. So yeah, that's it. Awesome. Thank you so much for. Do you have any other questions, Elise?
I think that is all for now, but I'm sure between now and then I'll come up with a few.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, whenever you have questions, like I said, feel free to post in community, and our team is always monitoring, and all other users from around the world are always giving good feedback.
How cool. Gosh,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. It's awesome. Thanks for your really good questions.
Most definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
have a good one.
Yeah, thanks you too. Thanks everyone. Take care. Bye, Martina.